Listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be back at school.
You will never know. You will never know what we were talking about. Oh, goodness gracious. It is 10:18. Damian Jones, SALT student athletes leading tomorrow. And I'm just going to start this off. That coaches clinic was amazing. It's got to feel great for you knowing all the hard work that you and your wife have put into this is finally coming to fruition with St. Louis City coming over and really just loving the facility.
You're absolutely right, CJ. It was a lot of work in advance of that, as is often the case. Your listeners would, many of them would know. Oftentimes, the behind-the-scenes efforts necessary to make something happen and bring it to passing it's substantial. It's really been over a year, almost 2 years of meetings and emails and Zooms and things of that nature to talk about city's programming. Their initial desire to establish their programming in St. Louis first, and time their expansion, out into the region to a time when they felt it was appropriate and they want to do things with quality. So we just had to be patient and make sure we maintained connectivity with them. But what is so gratifying to finally have St. Louis City SC in town as we had hoped. And the success of the team only adds to the luster of having a successful franchise that's top of table. To have their coaches sharing their expertise and knowledge with our youth coaches. Right. What a blessing.
Well, I'm telling you what, Damian, you talk about timing. How is timing just such a scary thing and a blessing at the same time because the team's on fire.
My gosh.
It's the way they only they tied a couple of games. I'd rather have a tie than losing all 3 points any day of the week.
Absolutely.
And the love they have for the surrounding communities too, I think, is a big thing to highlight. They didn't have to say, well, let's expand this. They could have stayed right there in their silo, but they didn't. They know the importance of the greater St. Louis area and people just like yourself that are putting on these great organizations to bring them in. This is just perfect.
I think the franchise and many that are close to the franchise and as well as kind of soccer insiders in St. Louis have talked about the love, the passion that the city of St. Louis and this region has for soccer. It's one thing to talk about it, but then when it actually happens and it's made manifest, when you're actually able to see the level of enthusiasm and excitement all over the region when our Major League Soccer team arrived, it put kind of wind in the sails of those arguments that this is soccer city.
Yeah,
it really is. And then to be at the stadium on game nights, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And speaking of standing up, I've had the blessing and good fortune of being able to go to the games.
Right.
And everyone there. They might as well not have put seats in what they could have saved a substantial amount of resources. Don't put any seats in the stadium. You're standing. Everyone is standing the whole game because it's just so exciting, and you're so happy to be supporting your hometown team. It's a standing, only type of an event.
Well, and on top of that, I thought they did perfectly was the way the stadium looks. Parts of you go through Europe and you see these stadiums. Fulham, a great stadium. Even though they're a smaller club, they got a beautiful one. And all these clubs do have that open air and what they did to kind of pick the best of everything and merge it into one. And it's a European soccer atmosphere. It's not MLS to me.
Point well taken. And it speaks to the experience and kind of the wealth of knowledge that Lutz Pfannenstiel has, having played in all over the world, having worked in European soccer clubs. He's been able to pull from based on his, kind of extensive network of, contacts and former teammates and people who are working at the highest levels in various world soccer, clubs and organizations. He's been able to pull the best from those experiences, in terms of Man City and, Bundesliga, Dortmund and Hoffenheim. He's pulled the best from some of those, storied club soccer teams in terms of the facilities. And he's integrated that into our St. Louis City facility even the point of having, and which is in a way unique, I think, in world soccer. I've been to several facilities around the country, with my son's soccer experience. And it is very unique to have your club offices and training facility right next to the stadium.
Yep.
That's unique even in world soccer, let alone MLS.
It's huge.
It is huge. It just creates almost like this campus kind of feel to it, that this is, St. Louis City campus.
Yeah.
And it really kind of anchors that end of Market Street. And as the vegetation and, kind of landscaping is starting to take hold, and really, it's just a beautiful setting down there. And game nights are so fun.
You can't paint a picture better. I always said that Old Trafford's the theater of dreams, and my dad's gonna kill me for saying this, but I'm gonna say this: the way I'm watching City Park, that to me is like, wow, that is an atmosphere and a picture that you can't paint even if Picasso is still around. Now, with City being so on fire, though, it was just this perfect storm. Did it help Salt in a way too, where people were excited about this pro team and they were looking into more organizations like yourself? Did that help?
Absolutely. I had the good fortune of being interviewed by I think it was Fox News surrounding the opening of our mini pitch here in Alton, and I made a statement during that interview that Salt and just youth soccer organizations, soccer-based youth organizations, are looking to ride the crest of the wave. Yep. Of enthusiasm, a tsunami of interest that we, anticipated would come to pass with the arrival of Major League Soccer in St. Louis. And quite frankly, you talk about, fortuitous turns of events. It really has been. With the success of the team and the interest that it's garnered, it is a tsunami of interest, and it does nothing but add wind to the sails of your organization to be affiliated with the franchise, which is what I sought.
Right.
And also for our community, for our city to be affiliated with the franchise and with the Coaching the Coaches training event that, kind of formalizes that relationship. It only provides kind of a foundation that we can build on.
Without a doubt. And you've hit on two important things. When I did the show in St. Louis with Ray Hartman, he would always make this point, and it's a great point. He goes, CJ, when you go out of town to Rome or wherever you went, where'd you say you were from? Me being the coy little jerk I am, I said I was from Alton, and may have been a fib because, so I say, well, you're from the St. Louis area or near St. Louis. He goes, then why do we always act like we're 48 miles away from each other? We're right here. Exactly.
It's interesting you'd say that because, we are an Illinois community. We're Southern Illinois, but Salt has established a very strong relationship, kind of collaborative association with the Missouri Youth Soccer Association.
Yes.
Brad Gieske, outreach coordinator for Missouri Youth Soccer Association, was working with us to put on the Coaching the Coaches event. And that is it's so huge that, we describe our region as the bi-state region, and oftentimes there feels as if there's somewhat of a siloing that goes on. I've always, from the moment we formed SALT, I saw the benefit of collaborative partnerships with individuals and organizations on both sides of our river, being in such close proximity to St. Louis. It's been very gratifying to make that happen, to kind of put feet to the phrase bi-state region by working with Missouri Youth Soccer Association. And I have to thank the organization for being willing to work with SALT to connect with our community, even though we're on the Illinois side.
Right.
They are extremely, supportive of our efforts. Anything that we need, when I call Brad, he's always accommodating. And that's important because we're building a regional kind of youth, sports program with soccer, obviously, as our focus, but for this programming. But it's region, focus. It's regional in its intent.
Well, and too, you brought up another great point. We're on fire today.
We're killing it.
I'm telling you that. I've always said there's an issue with, there's always a gap between Illinois and Missouri Youth Soccer Associations. And it's because to me, it's like we always know about the Chicago teams and the powerhouses up through Normal and Bloomington, and maybe a couple of really southern Illinois teams, but that Metro East area for us has always been kind of passed over in a way, and not a slight at anybody, but with SALT, I love the fact that there is now an organization that's using Missouri Youth Soccer, and just how great of an individual Brad is to be able to come over here and maybe start making some connections and start really developing that avenue for just this great, like you said, bi-state soccer region, because it's not right now. It's kind of parts of a region.
This is a perfect time to really
Yeah.
kind of address that. If you want to cast that as maybe a dynamic that's been in existence,
Yeah.
that idea that we haven't really showered the Metro East region or communities with attention, and to help grow, foster, and promote growth of youth soccer and just soccer in general in our region. Yeah, a lot of the focus, like you say, is Chicago and that juggernaut, but there's a lot of quality
Yes.
organizations, very knowledgeable and experienced coaches, and successful organizations in our region, in the Southern Illinois region. And again, hate to kind of beat that drum again, but with the arrival of City.
Yep.
It creates a perfect opportunity, with City kind of being a facilitator and participating along with us, to grow interest and in the game, and to grow an enthusiasm with our littles.
Yeah.
Starting early, understanding that it will take time, but it's only going to build. The more time we address the opportunity to get soccer balls at the feet of boys and girls who've not had exposure to the game, it's only going to make this a more immersive experience on both sides of the river. And let's just go on a vision quest together and suggest we find that one young man or young woman who from the Southern Illinois kind of Metro East that blossoms into a sublime professional, and we can kind of brag on.
Yes.
We had a hand in that. Wouldn't that be exciting?
It would be invaluable, because to me, and I was going to segue this later, but I'll do this now and we'll circle back to the coaches clinic. You and I have talked about this before. I played for Gallagher, Ian played for Gallagher. Hands down, a fantastic organization,
No
where
doubt.
they taught me so many life skills and learned from so many important people in soccer, but just great men and women nonetheless. But not a lot of families have that, financial support to provide that avenue for their child. And what I think is so important about what you guys do is really focusing on those children that don't have those opportunities and finding a way to connect them. And in a way, kind of segueing already to the coaches clinic, getting the parents connected early. Because, money's tough. And whenever you aren't invested into that sport, you might have a conversation going, maybe we just, do the rec league this time or for the next couple. And what you do is just invaluable for that.
The reality is, if there's a boy or girl that has a unique gifting, and let's just say we're talking soccer, with soccer, that we put a football at their feet and they're just sublime. Wouldn't it be a shame if that little boy or little girl couldn't participate and couldn't bring to fruition the full measure of his or her gifts and talents, solely because of a lack of resources or a lack of access to the necessary coaching or experiences that would help them blossom. And it's not even about developing that sublime professional. Right. It's about boys and girls having fun doing something that they fall in love with. There's a saying that children who participate or play a sport become fans of that sport. And that becomes a real point of connectivity with St. Louis City. We're growing fans for your organization. Yeah. There's something that we're offering you by opening up this region and our families and our children to your organization, and the blessing of your knowledge and experience that you're bringing with your coaches and your programming. We're also giving you something. Right. We're giving you future fans by helping our children in our region, throughout this region, to fall in love with with soccer. That's future fans that will support City into the future. So it's a very symbiotic and cross-pollinating relationship.
It's actually kind of fascinating to me, though, to see those things, because it's very rare that everything really coincides within one another. There's normally like a give and take somewhere, but with this, I don't see it. I really don't. I see this, everything meets, halfway in the middle. I mean, it all comes this way, and then you help on the support side and develop that long-lasting, relationship.
And it's important because these are complex, if we want to phrase them or describe them as problems, let's just say they're challenges that U.S. soccer has had, and it's recognized that there is a kind of a system in the pay-to-play system. Yep. The best coaching, the best competition facilities are oftentimes associated with the private clubs.
Yep.
American soccer, U.S. soccer recognizes that. It's going to be necessary, and it's only through, in my humble estimation, collaboration, where individuals and organizations come together and try to solve that conundrum. Try to crack that nut of how do we make soccer experiences available to boys and girls from under-resourced communities or boys and girls who've historically not had access or exposure to the game. This is a challenge that's going to require a lot of minds coming together, a lot of organizations, institutions, individuals coming together to propose ways to do that. In our humble, way, in our own way, SALT is trying to be a part of that effort.
And you're doing a great job. We got to pay some bills. It's 10:33. Damian Jones doesn't go anywhere. We got two things at least to talk about still. I could talk to you all day, man. I'm telling you. If only you were looking for a co-hosting job. We could do some damage, Damian. It's 10:33. We'll take a quick break. Damian Jones still in studio. We continue this conversation next in the heart of the Riverbend.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
RiverBender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBender.com.
Is it time to buy, sell, or even time to consider a short sale of your property? Meet Lisa Webb, owner of 3rd Street Realty. This local, women-owned, family-operated realty group has over a decade of experience in foreclosures, first-time home buying, and so much more. 3rd Street Realty prides themselves on holding your hand through the entire process. Let their expertise guide you to your dream home. Visit 3rdstrealty.com and start your journey with Lisa Webb today. Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
Suck it to your
Damn returns, Damian. We got new imaging. It was a whole big deal for me. I said, I want to look professional as can be. I said, I want returns. I want it to say RiverBender.com, all that. And now I don't know how to use them yet. So I'm still learning on the fly,
Well, CJ, never forget, pressure makes diamonds, okay? So you were under pressure, you're becoming a very priceless gem.
You know what? When you're also under pressure, you copyright a song and make it your own. Oh, wait, no, he's coming in August. All right, with that being said, I gotta ask you some questions. This has to be, in my humble opinion, well, it's never humble, but my opinion, one of the greatest pitchers I've seen this year. Let's take you to this now. This is SALT. This is the futsal pitch here. And now take me through this. Describe this for us, if you could.
It was a couple of weekends ago that a friend of mine, I was driving past the mini pitch. She drove past and took a look to her right, and oh my goodness, she texted me and said, "Hey, Damian, just wanted to let you know there are about 20 sisters from, I think, St. Anthony's that are down there, and it looks like they're having a soccer game down at the mini pitch." Before she could even finish her statement, I was off my porch, in my car, and heading to the mini pitch. I said, I have got to see this. They were playing a game. They have once a week, they try to have a fun day. The sisters from St. Anthony's will go and do something active and physical and just, some physical fitness and fun time together. And somehow, some way, and it's funny, it's interesting because they did not know that the mini pitch was there. They hadn't had a chance. One of the sisters must have seen it and say, "Hey, why don't we go down there for our fun day this weekend?" And so I went down. I had a chance to chat with them, and they were so happy and excited. We didn't know this was here. This is so great, and they're thanking me. And it was just wonderful. I was so happy to take that picture and talk to them. And let me tell you, the sisters were having a spirited game. They
get rough.
They were keeping score, and it was funny because sister, you know that ball was out.
So whenever I saw this picture, this is why salt is invaluable. And I didn't tell you this yet. Because I was at St. Mary's for 4 years, and we had PE over there, the 3rd or Henry Street side.
Yes, yeah.
Sister Marie Therese and Sister Teresa would go out there and play soccer with us. You want to talk about shin splints by the end of it. But when I look at that, those memories come back, and to see, all walks of life, all backgrounds, sisters from, OSF St. Anthony's, or I can't remember what exact jurisdiction they're from, but, to have that here. It's
it's kind of the vision and the theoretical that we spoke of when we embarked on the journey of building this court. It becomes real and it becomes kind of practical when you see something like that. That's community. That's community when your public space that you've had some small part in improving becomes usable and enjoy, a piece of the fabric of our community, and something that the community is enjoying. It's interesting because there are some plans, hopefully, with the Fighting Irish. The club soccer team is planning on doing a summer futsal league. Down at the mini pitch. And so that's another opportunity for kids from our community to use the facility and the public space. And it's very gratifying to have been a part of that.
Well, and too, it's cool for me when I go on Snapchat and see kids I played in college with and all that, and they're out using the facility still just to get, their workout in, or just to get some touches on the ball and enjoy it. And when you sent me this, I went, oh my goodness. So talk about a priceless picture. Because when someone says we want it to be for everybody, we forget about to me, I would have never thought in a million years that we would have some sisters coming out and playing on the court.
I have to honestly, admit, I didn't think about that either. And so I had to go down and see this for myself. And again, it was so fun to talk to them, and they were having a blast. It was fun.
You gotta love it. And
it was fun.
I wanted to go back to the coaches point, because we had a few people that read the article and had questions. And one of them was, well, I'm not a club coach. And I said, it doesn't matter. This is for any adult that has the desire to learn some skills for coaching. But my thought is too, Damian, a great way for them to get more invested in their child's sport as well.
That's exactly right. Perfectly, well put. Yes, we had coaches that were, youth coaches that were affiliated with clubs. But again, if you're an adult and want to engage with children or with your own child through soccer, what a wonderful way to kind of sharpen your axe, to learn some skills and drills, but also, again, the coaches program through really City cool. is about kind of raising the level of play of our youth coaches in areas of social emotional learning, understanding that you enjoy a unique position as a youth coach of any sport, but within this milieu of soccer, as a soccer coach with children, you're in a unique position to kind of engage and connect with that child, and kind of improving or making yourself aware of some of the challenges and opportunities to engage children in areas and be, I guess, attuned to some of those pressures that children experience, and being a resource to them through your coaching connection. That's very important. And so it's for any adult who wants to connect with children or with their own child and, improve their soccer coaching skills. They're in the X's and O's area, but also, again, social emotional learning about connecting and serving the whole child. That's the goal and aim of the Coaching the Coaches program.
Well, it's perfect, especially right now, because, to be honest with you, when I heard the topic, I went, I don't know if that fascinates me, but then I was talking to Dad and hearing some of the big takeaways and all of these, different nuances that he developed from that. And he's been coaching for 30 years. So I promise you will learn something here. And, he tells me, he goes, really there were some big takeaways. But for me, especially in this new age of technology and social media and rumblings, as a coach, you kind of, got to keep an eye out for some of those things and how your players are responding and, how they're showing up to practice. And those are very important.
Absolutely. Each individual child is a snowflake in terms of their personality and increasing your knowledge of how to connect with each player, with each child, and making him or her feel special, feel appreciated, feel loved, that welcoming and belonging that's created through a sports, team or a sports experience, it's unique. And so any effort to improve, your skills, to kind of sharpen your axe, as they say, it's something that we should take advantage of, and I'm very happy and proud that SALT was able to connect with City, that they chose to partner with our community and our organization. And there have been, rumblings, if you will, or interest has been expressed by City to come back and do some more programming. So we'll be sure to communicate that to our community through RiverBender and through your program.
We'll take care of that for you, and you better sign up. It's so cool, though, to see this, to me, have something that's for coaches, because there's all these, a lot of times you'll see a camp pop up every once in a while for young players, maybe for free, but to have this for everybody, to learn more, be connected with your child in soccer, but even if you want to coach, this is a great stepping stone.
We talk oftentimes, or it's, the perception is that with, youth sports, and particularly with, kind of the privatization, if you will, you talk about if you're overlaying a private sector concept to it of who's your customer, who are you serving. It's so easy to lapse into a notion that with youth sports, the customer is the child.
Yeah.
In truth, it's the parent. And in this kind of context, the coaches. We are, you're perceiving many different customers in a sense, many different. It's for all people. City and through SALT and our program and our collaborative association, we're trying to meet the needs of everyone. The children, yes, through the programming, but also parents. As I said, if you're just a parent who wants to know more about soccer, kind of X's and O's and coaching, but learn about how to connect and be empathetic and compassionate with the children that you're coming in contact with, or with your own child through the milieu of sports. That's connecting with the different quote-unquote customers.
And that's how you as the coach will be coached when City comes back, hopefully, and I think they will. I really do. But
I think so, too.
We'll keep you updated on all of that, but I also wanted to ask you about the rumblings that might have been going on, maybe a soccer camp for some kids coming down the pipeline.
Thank you for saying that. I had the pleasure of hosting Mr. Sasha Bauer. He's the regional trainer.
He is good.
Isn't he good?
Oh,
Isn't he
he's
a great
good,
guy?
yeah.
Lots of experience, global world experience in terms of soccer and youth soccer all over the world, and he is the training and education director for St. Louis City. He oversees the City Futures program as well as obviously the coaches training program. And I had the pleasure of hosting Sasha almost a year ago. He came to Alton and toured the city. I took him around. At that time, it was, Sasha, this is where we plan to put a mini pitch. Shovels had not even gone into the ground yet, but look how far we've come, CJ.
That's amazing. A year.
Yes. How you think about it, it happened like that. And so at the time, I took him out and showed him some of our facilities in the Alton Godfrey area. He was extremely impressed and expressed a desire and an interest in maybe having a St. Louis City SC youth soccer camp in our community. Well, I'm making my overtures to Sasha and say, hey, Sasha, you remember what you said? Maybe we can squeeze in a summer soccer camp here in Alton for boys and girls in our Southern Illinois region. So I'm working on that, and hopefully we'll have that.
We'll keep you posted. I'm feeling really optimistic about all these things today. And seriously, I wanted to tell you this last time you came on because, with this organization, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, you have to be organized. You have to be structured. You have to know your plan. And the fact that, all of this is happening, it wouldn't have been done without you and your wife's and everyone's, passion and dedication and just mindfulness on how to do this the right way. Because I can tell you what, if it was me, I would have thrown it all at the wall first, and then we would have picked it up last. And seriously, so it really does. It takes a special type of individual that's really thorough and passionate, and we're lucky to have you here, Damian.
CJ, thanks so much for saying that. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it, and I've said this before. The SALT is a love offering from our family to our community that's been so supportive and so instrumental in the development of our children and our families, So it's a labor of love. Yes, at times it's a labor. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love, and and we're just hopeful that it will continue to grow, that we can scale it, and be an impact and a positive impact to more and more families and more children.
Absolutely. And for more information, how can people reach out or learn more about student athletes leading tomorrow? I get paid to do this, I promise.
Probably the best way, email me. My email address, Damian, Damian, .Jones, Jones, at saltyouth, one word, saltyouth.org.
There you go. And then what's your website?
www.saltyouth.org.
There you go. How easy is that one? Damian Jones, I texted you at 6:15 this morning. I told you for 10, 15 minutes. We've talked for 30, but I love talking about this great organization, man. We'll have to have you back on soon when all those camps and more developments come down the pipeline.
It's my pleasure, CJ. An honor to be on your program, and I look forward to the next time.
Thank you very much. It is 10:47 right here on the 7th day of June. It is a Wednesday in downtown. I hate hump day. If anyone says that to me, it's on. But you know what else is on? The All-Star Award, where we get to recognize some imbeciles next.